This is The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good morning, Tuscaloosa. Good morning, Tuscaloosa, internet world, West Alabama. How we doing today on a Friday? It's the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central, BamaCentral.com. It's June 26th. It's my mother's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. I hope you have a great day. We are going to have a lot of fun today on the show on the Bama Central YouTube channel. We missed you yesterday. Something happened with the show. I didn't save it quite right. It didn't look like, and so we didn't get an episode on the Bama Central YouTube channel yesterday or on our podcast platforms. We apologize. You can find it on our live streams on the Bama Central Facebook page, on my Twitter page, and on my YouTube channel at Joe Gaither 6. If you'd like to see yesterday's episode, we apologize for that mishap. We're going to have a lot of fun today with our friend Theo Fernandez as we talk about all things Alabama football. You can get involved in the show by jumping on the hotline at 205-462-7340, extension 800. Leave us a voicemail, leave us a comment, a question, a query, or complaint. We want to thank Derek Daniel, State Farm Insurance, for sponsoring the program. Call Derek for all of your insurance needs at 205-758-3391. Or like a good neighbor, Derek Daniel is there. We appreciate Purple Turtle Roofing for sponsoring the show as well. You can check them out online at roofturtle.com for all their products and services. Doesn't matter if it's commercial or residential, they'll take care of you, whether it's metal or shingle roofs. They'll come out and give you a free roof inspection, letting you know how your roof is looking and making sure that you've got the peace of mind that you deserve in your home. We're hanging out today with our friend Theo Fernandez, still working on the West Coast with the World Cup. Team USA lost last night, unfortunately, to Turkey, losing 3-2, but still standing, I believe, on the top of the group. Theo, maybe you correct me if I'm wrong. And they're going on to play Bosnia-Herzegovina in the round of 32. Today's action, Theo: Norway, France, Senegal, and Iraq at 2 o'clock. Cape Verde and Saudi Arabia, Uruguay and Spain at 7. Egypt and Iran, and New Zealand and Belgium at 10 p.m. How we doing this morning, and how we feeling about the games today?
Doing great. Rough to see the USA drop one. It was the equivalent of a bowl game. It meant absolutely nothing. So you can't really be too upset. I mean, you clinched first. They clinched last. Turkey's on a plane right now, headed back home. So there was only one real winner of that one. It's a fun slate today. It really is. Looking at it, Norway, France. I mean, that is Haaland, Mbappe. You're going to see a lot of goals scored. They've each scored in both games. So I believe they've each scored 2 goals in both games, if I'm not mistaken. So they're
on fire.
Yeah, they're on fire. That'll be a really fun game. I'm excited for today's slate.
Yeah, I'm going to take France to win 3-2. I'll take Senegal over Iraq. I'll take Cape Verde to win over Saudi Arabia. I'll take Spain and Uruguay to tie, maybe 1-1, maybe 2-2. Egypt and Iran, I think maybe Iran finally gets them the win that's eluded them so far, and I will take. Belgium has been horrible. I'll take New Zealand over Belgium.
Belgium has been horrible. I think that game will end in a draw because the Belgium team is just, from everything I've heard, been an insane disappointment. And when I watch them, I'm disappointed too, without even knowing the full context. Taking it from the top, though, Norway, I think, plays themselves to a draw against France. I think we see another 2 goals by Haaland and Mbappe, and things really start to heat up. Yes, Senegal over Iraq. Cape Verde handles Saudi Arabia, and Spain handles Uruguay, which means tiny island Cape Verde qualifies for the knockout round, which would be just what a story there. Like I said, New Zealand, Belgium draw, and then I think Iran beats Egypt. I really want to see a USA versus Iran round of 16 matchup. You know that would be such a cool story. USA sends the Iranians home with everything that's going on. I'm rooting for it to happen. I think it would be an incredible matchup. So if Iran wins, I think that's very much a possibility.
Well, we'll see what happens at the World Cup today. We appreciate Theo for waking up early and getting going, wanting to talk some Alabama sports with us. Make sure you follow Theo Fernandez at Theo Fernandez _ on the Twitter machine. Theo, how about some Alabama football for us this morning? Coach DeBoer was on a radio show right here in town with the Martin Houston show, talking recruiting again, answering the questions, talking mentality again, talking getting the team physically ready to play, rah-rah, the Alabama spirit, Alabama style of football. Did you hear or read anything from this interview as Kalen DeBoer was on with Martin Houston yesterday in Tuscaloosa at about 6 a.m.?
Yeah, I read a bunch of what he said. First question, though. I mean, he's going on this show. He's talking to Gary Harris. When's he coming on the Joe Gaither show?
I have asked, and that is a question that remains to be answered, honestly. So I have made my request, but I'll tell you how that's going off the air, because
We'll
it's not going so great if you catch my drift.
Understandable, but nonetheless, some good content from DeBoer's appearances, and I think starting with the fun one, everyone wants Bama to be the villain, right? He said, wants to be the number one most hated team in the nation. That was in response, I guess, to a study or someone like doing research into people's most hated teams that found that.
So this was RotoWire ranked Notre Dame the number one most hated team in college football, and had Alabama at number 2. And I guess one of the hosts, because it's Martin and Sons, Xavier and Simeon, they run the show. One of them threw that out there, and he said, we want to be the first most hated. Then we don't have to defend or say anything. That was funny. The MCs brought that up at an event I was at. I like that. There's a realness to that. He said, there's a way to go about that. Just everyone has this quiet belief. We don't need to talk about it. We don't need to beat our chest or anything.
Yeah, that's a nice quote over there. That's a nice you gotta like what he says there. And you know that, look, if you do your job, if you return Alabama to the pinnacle, you're going to be the most hated pretty fast.
Yeah.
People are ready to hate Alabama fully again. And I think that can happen with the flip of a switch.
All it takes, Coach DeBoer, is to get yourself back in the title picture, and you'll achieve that. That's the way to achieve that.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to let everybody know that the rest of the rankings, it was Notre Dame 1, Alabama 2, Ohio State 3, Georgia 4, Nebraska. It says Ohio State, Georgia, Nebraska, and Penn State are tied at 4.
Is Nebraska still hated like that?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not around here, not in the Southeast. Maybe
you'd have to go to that part of the country, I guess.
Perhaps. The methodology weighed 4 factors: conference rivalries, recent on-field damage from 2016 to 2025, historic blood feuds, and universal villain narratives that travel beyond any single language, RotoWire said.
It's hilarious for me. Like, my whole life, Nebraska my whole life watching football, Nebraska has been washed, right? Has just been this former dynasty. So everyone, like, every time someone tells me to fear Nebraska, or, Nebraska's going to be back, like, it's never registered for me. So, and I know a lot of people, just about everyone my age, I'm sure, unless you're from the area, feels the same way. It's funny looking at how a program can effectively die out. I have no fear, no hatred, no bad blood towards Nebraska. But I guess back to the list. You guys saw the reaction.
We'll pause
Alabama.
right there.
Yeah.
Pause right there. Because you feel that way about Nebraska, I'm about 10 years older than you. And I remember very, very, very vaguely the early titles. And I don't really have that respect for them anymore either. And so here we are with Alabama. Make it an Alabama conversation. Flip it. Here we are at Alabama. you haven't won a title since 2020.
20, yeah.
Right? Because you went in 21 and you got beat, and then you haven't gone back yet. How long does it take? Because that was what, early 90s for the Nebraska's last titles, and obviously Alabama's run was a lot better for a lot longer under Coach Saban. How long does it take before someone, oh yeah, Alabama, we're not worried about y'all. We don't care about you. The indifference that you feel for Nebraska. How long does that would that take? How much mediocrity would have to set in Tuscaloosa? We haven't seen it quite yet, have we?
Yeah. Well, okay. First of all, we have to look at what are the odds that Alabama continues to stay nationally relevant and nationally at the top of the rankings without the title. Because there's a big difference between losing in the Rose Bowl versus, if you did that for another 6 years, for example, I think the reputation just about stays. Or you have diminishing returns on how much it fades away. 6 years of playing quality top 15 football is very different from, oh, look, we finished number 23. We just snuck into the 2014 playoff. I don't know. I don't have a concrete answer. I feel like it has the potential to happen at the end of this decade. I feel like if you go these 27, 28, 29, 30, right, these next 4 years without having a season where you seriously contend for the title, I would argue that, we're probably in a new era. We're probably new reputation, new way you're perceived by fans. Especially, you guys have to remember, once you get 10 years out, right, anyone under the age of 17 has no real memory of you dominating. Oh, wait, that's the age of the kids you're recruiting. You're going to get to a point where you are trying to bring kids in to play for your program that they hear about the Bama standard. They hear, oh, Nick Saban was one of the best coaches of all time. To them, Nick Saban is the guy on TV. Things can change very, very fast in this world. You consider you're recruiting the young guys. So, I'd say end of the decade is my entering the 2031 season. Maybe I'll give them the 2031 season as well. At the end of 2031, I think we have the potential to have a new reputation if you are not able to bring home a national title.
I like that because you do the math on it and you say 2020, the last title, but really that was fall of 20, spring of 21, right? Because of the COVID year and just the way that played out. So you're looking at January babies in 21 that turned 5. They turned 5 this year. They turned 5 this past January, and now you're sitting here 6 months into 2026, and so you're 5.5 years away from a title, and if you can't get back there in 10 years, well, you can tell little Johnny, if you can't get back there in 12 years, then 13 years, when that kid, when that young man and that young girl is a preteen, they will have no memory, no time that Alabama was on top. And I think you're right. That's where it begins, because if it stretches like it has stretched for Nebraska from the mid 90s to early 2001, because I remember Eric Crouch going in the late 90s, really leading Nebraska to a good season, and thinking, they could still be hanging on, but then Miami just putting them under in a big bowl game, and so from there, I don't remember seeing Nebraska in any big bowl game for the rest of my adolescence, So I think that when you fast forward for Alabama, you've got to keep playing at least where you are right now over time. And one of these seasons in the next 5 years, maybe this season, but any of these next 5 years, you've got to push it beyond just the quarterfinal exit. You need to stay pretty much baseline at quarterfinal exit at top 12, top 15 level team. But one of these 5 years, I agree with you, you've got to push it beyond and win a title.
Yeah, and it's kind of, I'd be a little scared as an Alabama fan, or a little taken aback hearing that number and letting it really register. I think it's true. I mean,
when I think about 2020, I still think about it being yesterday. And that season, I mean, Alabama was dominant that year. Nobody could cover Devontae Smith at all. And so that became the Mac Jones cheat code. And really, it was Mac Jones being able, do I hand it off to Najee Harris or do I throw it to Devontae Smith behind that big offensive line? It was an unstoppable offense. It was an amazing season. It's crazy to think about how that was 5 years ago. Did you see Mac Jones at tight end U? I know you've been locked in a cage watching soccer, but did you see Mac Jones slinging that thing at tight end U?
That was awesome. Tight end, it's a fun event.
Yeah. Was he inebriated? Was he on something, or was he just high on life?
I was thinking he was just really enthusiastic to be there, but the alternative kind of makes sense when you think about it. I don't know. Give him the benefit of the doubt. I think he's just an enthusiastic guy nowadays.
Hey, he looked like he was having a great time, so I'm no hate on you at all. He was out there just vibing, and throwing that ball, vibing, slinging it from the hip. Yeah, tight end U looks like a blast. And so one of these days I'm gonna sneak in there and see and kind of see what that's about. So you think Alabama and Kalen DeBoer can win a title in the next 5 years? You think he's around for the 5 years? That's the big overarching question. You think Greg Byrne's going to give him a 5-year runway, see if you can get it done?
Well, to bring up old history, you may recall me and Dax having a bet on us, and 2031, I believe, is the year. I said Alabama, I don't think will win a title in that period of time. I think it's a very strong possibility. I think I would still lean that way. But it's impossible to say, right? I think Alabama will have a lot of seasons where it's in contention for a title. We've talked so much about the talent coming in, especially at the quarterback position, and knowing you're going to have an elite – you're going to have an elite signal caller as long as DeBoer's there, and have an elite guy under center. I don't know if there'll be a season where everything gets put together. I think the much more interesting question right now, because it's a more concrete thing we can answer, is, how much time does DeBoer possibly get if he doesn't win a title? I think it's going to be hard to move on from him if the team has seasons like it did last year. I do think it's going to be hard to justify, because you guys know how this thing is going to go, right? For a coach like DeBoer, it's going to be, well, he got an extension last season, right? And there were a lot of people questioning that, especially nationally. A lot of people saying, "No, what is Alabama doing? Why do you give him an extension?" You give him the extension because he's in demand, coming off a good season. He is viewed as a very good coach by a lot of programs that would be very interested in bringing him in themselves. That's not going to change. So when you look at it, successful seasons consistently equal extensions, equal hard to get the guy out of there. So it feels, how do you keep a status quo? It's either you're extending him and offering him more money and saying, like, yes, we approve of what you're doing, or you're firing him. Or it's like, I don't see it reaching a point where, DeBoer's tenure ends by him being poached away. I think he would somehow have to cross that bridge into, well, we've reached the territory where we don't want Kalen DeBoer to run this program anymore. Where's that line? Is it like back-to-back 8-4 seasons?
Right.
It's hard to even right now see the line of where Kalen DeBoer would possibly have his time ended.
Right, because even if he's in the quarterfinals the next 3 seasons, I think you are looking to have maybe not blowout losses in those quarterfinals, but even if you're in the quarterfinals, like you're going to have a section of the Alabama fans that are, oh, you didn't win a title, but a coach that keeps you, knocking on the door is, very valuable and going to be in high demand. Um, I know this doesn't mean anything at all, but in my little college football dynasty in my little video game, we're in our like 19th season or something, and Coach DeBoer is still coaching Alabama. Never been fired. I've been, winning a bunch of games, and well, if the Alabama job comes open, I'll take it. But it never, ever, ever has come open. Now we've been playing the entire year. And waiting on the new game, and it still has not come open. So I've never coached at Alabama on that game.
And has he won a title?
No,
19 years, no title.
Right.
It's hard. Yeah. Wow.
It's been one of the users every time. One of our but Alabama's been always in the playoff, in the mix, going to the SEC title game. He's one of the winningest coaches on there.
Yeah. Now, it's fascinating to try and forecast what the future could look like. At the end of the day, Alabama is still in such a favorable position when it comes to the recruiting, when it comes to the facility, when it comes to all the things you want a program to have, right? And there's very much feels like you're riding the coattails of the past a little bit. And as long as you can, you want to ride those things for as long as you can. So, like a title, for example, a 2029 national title, that feels like it extends the lifespan so much, right? Obviously, you don't go say, oh, it's the same dynasty. But it's saying, look, Alabama has officially been an elite top-tier program for 20 years now at that point, right? And look, we're continuing and gliding into this new era, and it's crazy. It's crazy how long a title extends your lifespan with recruits, right? Because all of a sudden, oh, here's another generation of recruits who've seen us win a title, seen us win. You can't really discount what that means.
No, you can't. And so we'll see how Coach DeBoer's next season goes. We'll keep talking about it as we head into the summer. He was asked, we've been talking about recruiting all week long, Theo, and he was asked about the recruiting. And, you got some Katie's got some good numbers. The last handful of classes, Alabama signed 27 players in 2024, 21 players in 2025, and 27 players last year in 2026. The Crimson Tide currently has 11 commits, and we talked about it being a smaller class, and we talked about it being maybe a class full of underdogs, maybe a class full of underrated recruits, 3-star recruits. You still have Elijah Haven, 5-star quarterback, and 4-star Trent Seaborn, a quarterback as well. And DeBoer's answer was as follows: We are never comfortable. We're never comfortable. We're just continuing to push. We have to do things, make decisions that sometimes aren't popular, just as far as going a certain route with things. You take what you have and you maximize it. If we're just loading up with a whole new freshman class, someone's got to leave. All these guys we've invested time in, we're recruiting over. There's going to be attrition. You've got to plan for that. There's going to be guys that are just getting beat out and want to go find a place. We want to keep developing these guys and keep working with what we have, and hopefully our retention is what it is to where you get these older teams at some point, and you get these guys who play a lot of snaps. And it's not a lot of snaps, but a lot of snaps together.
That's the kind of thing you want to hear right there, right? I don't have much of a reaction to it besides well said.
Yeah, and he continues here with the transfer portal players and such, really continuing with recruiting. I'd love to take them all. I feel like we have a staff that has the ability, we've shown in the last couple of years, that we can recruit with the best of them. Our program is as attractive as any. We're coming off a playoff run this year. recruiting off of that is really easier than what we did the year before when there was just some second guessing and some questionable things like that. We're continuing to pave our way, just going to continue to keep focused on ourselves. That's the way you got to do it, not getting caught up in what's going on outside. Stick to the plan and keep executing.
Yeah, that's a solid statement.
Yeah, so I read all that, and the reaction, Theo, is basically like, isn't that exactly what we've been saying? That he said we don't want to bring in new hotshot 5-star freshmen because who's going to leave? Who's going to leave? Who's that going to push out? Money wise, you want to retain these guys, and I think Coach DeBoer said that in a nice way. Said that in a more respectful manner. And there was a little code there, but basically said we're got to retain what we've got, and insinuated that they're taking who they want. And so I think that the narrative that these are a bunch of underrated 3-stars does carry when you think about Coach DeBoer and what he's kind of saying. They're having an easier time coming off a playoff run. I think that they're just trying to be, and maybe it's crimson colored glasses, but selective with who they take based on a money fit so that they can retain the last 2 classes of high level recruits. And I think you're going to see a nice little portal class next year, next spring. And I think you will follow it up with a stronger class of 2028.
Yeah, no, like you said, we have been referencing this for at least a month at this point now, ever since the first Kalen DeBoer statement about this probably being a weaker class or lower ranked class came out. I think we have a solid read on the situation, Joe. I think we've been kind of on top of it a little bit. And I know we have a lot of people panicking about this recruit. I know they've even flipped you a little bit. And I'm standing firm at my July 8th date. July 8th is the day. And this is post 4th of July weekend where I sit down and I say, well, maybe it's time to raise and sound the alarms a little bit. Maybe a bunch of recruits come in and that ranking gets where we want it to, which I say top 25 contention. I'd say that, given what you brought back, given the talent you have on the team, also the recruits that you've brought in, like I said a few days ago, bringing in a solid amount of recruits who are developmental guys, right? Multi-year projects, not just, this guy's 1 year of eligibility, depth piece. No, I think you brought in the right mix of current production affect this 2026 team in the class, and then also guys with an eye towards the future. So I'm not ready to panic yet. We'll see.
We'll see indeed. Little update here with the basketball, with the Alabama basketball pro scene. You had Latrell Wrightsell signed in the last couple of days with the Charlotte Hornets, and Houston Millette signed a summer league deal with the Chicago Bulls. So we'll see if those 2 guys can work their ways up the roster. Unfortunately, no one has signed Noah Williamson.
Hate to see it.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're missing out on a superstar right there. Let's tell everybody.
Didn't watch the Texas Tech game.
Oh yeah, exactly. Let's tell everybody about Purple Turtle Roofing before we move on with the program. At Purple Turtle Roofing, we're not just another contractor. We're your neighbor and your advocate when it comes to protecting your home or business. With years of hands-on experience, top-tier certification, and a commitment to excellence, we've built a reputation as Alabama's go-to roofing solution. We specialize in residential roofing, commercial roofing, emergency storm repairs, full-on roof replacements, insurance claim support, and more. You can visit them online at roofturtle.com for all their products and services. You can schedule your free roof inspection right there online as well. So it's roofturtle.com for all of your needs in the state of Alabama and all throughout the Southeast. All right, Theo, I think I just have 2 more little pieces of 2 more small stories to talk about, and they're involving 2 Alabama rivals. You want the Auburn story or you want the Tennessee story first?
Well, I know what the Tennessee story is, and it's a fun one, so let's get into that.
Oh my gosh. So the Tennessee Vols, as of today, have parted ways with Penn State transfer Chaz Coleman. They have said that Chaz Coleman is medically disqualified from the Volunteers roster after being absent from summer workouts last week. Five-star transfer in the 2020 cycle, played 9 games and recorded 8 tackles last season for Penn State. So basically was a hotshot freshman last season at Penn State, hit the transfer portal, took Tennessee for lots of moolah, and did not really show up to to summer workouts. I don't know if he ever showed up or if he just showed up late. I don't have clarity on that. Maybe he did show up late, but either way, I remember he didn't show up on time, and that became a thing for a couple of days. And now it seems like they have parted ways with Chaz Coleman.
Yeah, I mean, this whole Chaz Coleman situation has been fascinating. First of all, and I don't think we got a clear number on what he was actually bringing in NIL wise, but this feels like, Tennessee is probably almost just breathing, sigh of relief, glad it's over with, if I had to guess.
Yeah, so he's moved on. Oh, look, Alabama just got a recruit like
Oh, really?
20 minutes ago, Jeremiah Beverly. Hey, he's got a new guy. Are you a Stone Cold Killer? Let's see, Jeremiah Beverly. So
Oh,
is
he
this
committed on Gary
Oh,
Harris.
Hillcrest for Hillcrest High School.
Yeah.
Okay, so another 3-star. Another 3-star in this upcoming class, edge rusher, 6'2", 230. And yeah, I see he was on the Gary Harris show earlier today. Committed is what it sounds like. That's going to take Alabama up to 11 commits in the class, 12 commits in the class, and they're up to 60, number 60, nationally ranked. So, all right.
Yeah, what do you know? Never know when you're going to bring a recruit in. Awesome when people commit on the Gary Harris show. That's a fun one. We had Zay Hall do that last summer. And I know you like to sit down and watch the film, so maybe we can get a breakdown on him later on.
Yeah, exactly. We'll look at that and talk about it next week. But great. Just circling back to that real quick. The last story that I have, Theo, is an Auburn Tiger story, and hopefully I'm not getting Adam Schefter or whatever, so punked here. But Narcissus Ngoy, is that how you'd say that name?
I believe so.
All right, is committed to play for the Auburn Tigers. But he was drafted in the second round this year. Said he's going to play for Auburn right now. The Hawks drafted him in 2 or 3 days ago in the second round, and traded his draft rights to the Clippers. But he reaffirms his commitment to play for Auburn this coming season. He played for various teams in France, averaged 10 points, and 11 rebounds. So big man, 7-footer, is professional from France, 21 years old, is going to come in and probably be a freshman instead and play for the Auburn Tigers.
Hey, look, I do just about anything to avoid playing for the Clippers, so I can't hate on the decision there. Now, the Clippers do still hold his draft rights, so when he eventually does finish his time in college, which what is he, 22?
21.
So, 21. So he could have, I guess, 3 years of eligibility then, right, if he's applying under these new rules. The Clippers will eventually hold his draft rights. Basically, he develops away from the organization for 3 years.
There we go. So another one of these professionals overseas coming over, getting drafted, and opting to still play in college basketball. This time it's going to be very close to home for Stephen Pearl.
Well, it's funny because he never declared for the draft or anything. He's he just automatically entered at a certain point. So he was probably as surprised as everyone else when he got that call. So I know I'm an NBA draft pick now.
Maybe so. Well, good eye, good scouting eye, Stephen Pearl. Maybe that'll help the Auburn faithful get confident behind him.
Yeah. It was quick tangent. The NBA draft moving to 2 days was atrocious. Did anybody have any interest in watching the second round? The second round is something I'm willing to turn on, or I'm willing to keep the channel on. Right? Okay, first round ends. Sure, I'll stick around, see which college guys I like just got drafted. Nobody wants to see it be its own day. Come on. One day, get it over with. One and done.
Yeah, exactly.
Ridiculous.
Can't be having that. All right, Theo, you're gonna have a big weekend working more soccer?
Yeah, a lot of soccer. We're finishing up the group stages tomorrow, so that'll be fun.
All right, so make sure you're following Theo Fernandez at Theo Fernandez _ on the Twitter machine as we wrap up the group stages and move into the knockout rounds. Woo! It's gonna get serious starting on Sunday. Can't wait for it. We'll talk about it on Monday right here on the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral, BamaCentral.com.